swimsuit screen. Wow. Hi, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Chaos Protocol. I am so excited to see your digital non-existent faces in the chat of Transplanar RPG. We are an all-transgender, person of color-led, actual play channel telling stories set in a oh my god. I said in a non-original. In an original, non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. Transplanar scripted? What? Anyway, you're probably wondering what the hell I'm doing here. But I will be sharing an abbreviated set of announcements before our performers take things away. Tonight, we are hosting a very special episode of the Chaos Protocol, following Strike Team Nova as they vault into Kesuke's past. Tonight's episode features Connie Chong as our GM, with players Val, Kai, and Sam, alongside our guest for this evening, Rio. We expect tonight's episode to run between 90 and 120 minutes, and we have an optional break halfway through if our performers need it. Finally, before we begin, I do have content warnings to share with all of you for this special episode. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy actual play series that deals with content that may be triggering to some viewers. Content warnings for this special episode may include grief, mourning, disreality, fantasy violence, blood, medical gore, ghosts, possession, body horror, fear, apocalypse, complex relationships, classism, and references to the loss of children. No children will be harmed in this or any other Transplanar episode. So without further ado, I hope you all enjoy what was. We'll see you on the other side.
Vaulting is like nothing you have ever experienced before. The Syndicate's process of teleportation is patient. It is painless. It is your atoms reassembling in a new weave of reality. That process is coiling and formless, infinite, beautiful. But this is chaos. It happens all at once, and it is still happening to this day, even now as I speak. There is a version of this that happens forever and never ends. There is a version of this that has never happened at all. There is a version of this that backfires instantly, and you explode into cosmic gas and screaming shades and bleeding atoms across space-time. You see things, terrible things, wonderful things, things that you will not remember, that you will not be held to task for witnessing. Not until everything dies and is born anew. Beautiful things, horrible things. Tragedies beyond belief, comedies beyond compare. Somewhere in the center of all of this, that is also the edge, everywhere and nowhere, an irreversible sequence that should have never existed peers through the eye hole of a sanctuary. Uninvented colors, maddening sounds, divine sensations collapsing your bodies like a cannonball through a gossamer sheet. Lumira, you can feel them all around you. Bright, hot, lucent things roiling, boundless, full of possibility. Souls. The souls of Nova. And your soul, too. What does vaulting do to your soul?
This is not anything even close to what Lumiere is used to. Vaulting took a lot out of her the first time. Took her a bit to recover, but that was just a minuscule jump. Minuscule in relation to this. There's nothing minuscule about this one. So Lumiere's soul stretches, pulls tight, taut, tension-filled, and sits there, right before the brink of snapping.
Seir, what does vaulting do to your soul?
Like pulling a single thread from an infinite bundle. It is straining, painful, and feels like it will take forever.
Zynon, what does vaulting do to your soul?
Zynon's soul is not a single thread in the journey, but three things braided together. A mortal soul, a ghost, a thread of immortality gifted by the patron saint of mortals, and yes, a sliver of something at the end of the journey, of nothing, of... It is like something with a burr being dragged through smooth fabric. Snagging, bumping, jerking as it goes. And he is splintered, seeing a mortal soft-faced farm boy. A dark, shaded set of eyes with bright, glowing sclera. And something... well, something he's going to meet.
Yinghe's soul. Well, something's wrong, Lumiere. Yinghe's soul is unlike Seir's, it is unlike Zynon's, it is unlike your own. Every soul, of course, is unique, but this soul is unlike any other you have ever touched with any aspect or facet of your magic before. It is ephemeral, fleeting, insubstantial, woven from pure shadow and moonlight. There's no substance to it, and you cannot grab a hold of it. It is like trying to grab hold of water, trying to grab hold of air. And the more you try to pull her soul toward you to guide it through the vault, the farther away it slips. Yinghe falls through your fingers. No, your fingers fall through her like so many grains of sand slipping through the cracks. No, Tada fingers fall between Seir's fingers for a brief moment, and then you're gone. Tumbling along the slipstream of space-time, away from Yinghe, away from those silver eyes, wide and bright and wild, and 1, 2, 9, 12 years apart, left behind in the future you are escaping from, and then you arrive. There is a sound. Like a detonation. A sonic boom, rippling across the fabric of reality as the three of you land hard, heavy, in the past, in Haruna Valley. Your boots thud against packed dirt. You stagger. You can't not stagger. Your eyes low, close to the ground, inches away from your face. You see, the first thing you see, soil, earth, black and rich, the smell of it wet in your nose. Wet, yes, wet, with water, fresh, clean. You see grass growing, erupting out of the earth, purple, lush, everywhere. As soon as your boots hit the ground, a shockwave erupts from where you land. A gust of wind exploding outward from your party, raking over the rolling hills of purple grass that surround you, sweeping across the sky above your heads, parting cotton candy clouds within a gem-toned sky. It rattles through the leaves of a tall and handsome tree, a tree that was old when Zynan Esh was young, a tree whose flesh he would one day pry apart to hew 3 graves. But in this place, in this time, there are only 2 graves beneath that tree. One of them looks fresh, newly made. The marker sturdy and strong, wrought from a single column of humble wood. You can still see the gouge in the bark that it was taken from. And with that, you're here, in Keseki. Back when it was alive. Back when it was still beautiful. There is so much air, so much water. It's everywhere, clean, pure, undeniable. You can breathe, actually breathe, even more than you could in the garden. You hear the distant tremolo of birdsong, the constant chittering of insects, and then a different noise. Very close, startled, sudden. A herd of raptors had been peacefully grazing in their paddock, and then you appeared out of nowhere with a big billowing explosion of wind, and these raptors instantly spook. They scatter, each the size of a horse, but they move with incredible lightness and speed upon 2 huge talons. Their feathers, a dazzling array of vibrant colors, cardinal reds, blue jay azures, bumblebee yellows with black bars, mottled browns with white dots. But before you can fully absorb the beauty of Keseki, before you can properly land and get your bearings and process that there are only 3 of you and not 4, there is the matter, there is the paradox of Zynan Esh. Sayer and Lumira, the 2 of you look here exactly as you did in the present, or rather in the future. But Zynan does not. In fact, right here and now, Zynan Esh doesn't have a body. He is a ghost. Translucent, barely corporeal, existing for a fragment of a second in the exact same instance as another version of himself who has not yet died, is also existing, whose soul has not yet been profanely transmuted beyond the proper allowances of the journey by the choices of a heretical saint. In another world, in another time, I would ask each of you how you take in the beauty of Keseki as you arrive, but this is the past, and this has already happened, and this has not yet happened, and this is happening right now, and there is no time for pleasantries. Recognizing its mistake, the journey contracts like a spasming muscle around a piece of embedded shrapnel, and then poof! In less than a nanosecond, the unholy ghost of Zynan Esh is shunted across the diaphanous fabric of space-time. This hypercausal acceleration violently displaces the reality around it, creating a zone of infinitely expanding pressure localized on the transtemporal link who is tethering Zynan Esh, who is tethering all of this. And Lumira, you are struck at point-blank range by the incalculable force of ontological displacement. What terrible injury do you sustain?
With the force of that shunt, Lumira is blown back, almost as if she was hit by some large immovable truck, invisible, but hit her body standing still. So she crumples inward and flies back, her leg twisting in a really weird fashion before her body, with all of that force, lands. Her leg that was twisted now sits impaled on wood striking up directly through her calf, almost like a skewer. And she grunts and screams out in pain, blood everywhere.
The exact piece of wood that impales your leg in this moment as you are shunted backward from the force of that displacement is, of course, that newest grave marker under the cool and protective shade of that old tree. And Sayir, you land. Yinghe is not here. You see Zynon incorporeal for half a second. He's gone. There's a boom. Lumira goes flying. Now she's screaming. There's blood. Raptors scattering.
Lumira! Sayir trundles forward. There's not even a second, nor a moment, nor a heartbeat for Sayir to compute the heresy we had just committed. And instead, the first thing he has to reckon with is the loss of his ex, the loss of his mentor, and his beloved's leg being shunted between a grave marker. Sayir marches over towards you and immediately bends low, Lumira, to look at the extent of the injury. He's never seen an injury like this. He computed many types of dangers in preparation for this. Any danger that the time travel would have done to us. There was no reality where Sayir could have computed that you would be shunted between the fibers of the material realm that we travel to. And Sayir finally knows the extent of the dangers of this heretical choice we have made. It's okay, just breathe. I'm right here. And he immediately pulls out his belt, begins to unhook it off of his bandolier to see if there's anything he can do to help this. A tourniquet.
You gotta check it. You have to check to make sure it's not through an artery. If you pull it out, it's gonna bleed worse.
I'm not gonna pull it out. I don't think I can, not by myself. He looks at the state of your leg. Shit. Okay, just breathe.
She tries to look. It's blurry, hazy through the pain. She just grips it.
You're gonna be okay. I'm here. Do you know where Zynon is?
No. He's here though. I can feel him. I can't feel Ying. Where are they?
Not with us.
I think I lost them. When in the travel, once again they were there, and then I couldn't feel them anymore.
It's okay. And Sayir says comforting words, but they mean nothing. They mean nothing right now. And he begins to try and, at the very least, staunch the bleeding. The pieces of blood that begin to fall down your leg so that you don't just pass out on him.
Tighter.
In this. Okay, breathe. 1, 2.
Okay.
And with that vice-like cinch, the pain is still there, but you can feel something cutting off right above the place where the bleeding is the heaviest. You, as a healer, Lumira, you understand the anatomy of others and you understand the anatomy of yourself very well, viscerally, inside and out. Of course, your calf is in pain. That much is undeniable. A physical, mortal, blood and bone vessels rupturing, muscle torn kind of pain that you are used to. There's something else, too. That stretching of your soul you had felt in the vault space, in the infinite time that only lasted just an instant. It's still there, underneath the physical pain, present, a kind of dull, distant stretching that is also very close. Not so bad that you can't focus on anything else, but it is there as well. in addition to the pain in your leg.
Lumira is everywhere all at once. She's gripping her leg, making sure that the tourniquet is tight enough and sits where it's supposed to be. But she doesn't have time to acknowledge that slight sting that she feels under her chest right now. One thing at a time. And right now, what's important is getting my leg off of whatever the hell it's skewered through right now.
And Sayer
At this juncture-
tries.
At this juncture, you and Sayer take a moment to assess the exact extent of the damage. As you mentioned, it is your calf that has been almost fully impaled on a piece of that grave marker. You can see the wood up, probably between where bone should meet muscle. It is a really deep wound, a really grave injury. But the good news is you're not gushing blood anymore, especially after Sayer has attached the tourniquet. But this is going to require surgical intervention. You are going to have to splint it. Your leg is close to being fully just broken. And there is, of course, also the question of how are you going to remove your calf from this marker struck and driven deep into the earth? And as the two of you look at this conundrum, you hear a noise behind you, a pattering of footsteps heading away from your direction. And you see, on the edges of your periphery, the source of this noise, you see a figure, a child, standing at first at the fence line, some couple dozen feet away from you. You see her silhouette. She's barefoot, in patched trousers, and you see a ragged howry. You see her hair is messy, it's starting to come undone from its small braid. You see dark purple skin, darker than Zion's, freckles all over her face and arms, pure black eyes with bright golden irises that look familiar to the two of you. Those eyes currently wide with shock, cautious, and you turn just in time to see this girl turn around and start to run, absolutely just sprint and book it, up a winding path leading toward, you see in the distance, a cottage with a stable. She is booking it for that cottage.
No, wait!
You are muted,
Gracious.
Val. Oh, no. Oh, then it's me. It's me. Okay, 1 second.
Hello?
Yeah, my headphones are fully disconnected. 1 second. Let me just reconnect them.
No worries.
Yeah, we can vamp. We're vamping. We're vamping.
Vamping.
Hey,
Just-
Sam, did you have to drive that up your calf? Yeah?
It's the sexiest
Yeah.
place to get injured.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Ow. Ow. Okay.
Why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm. Ouch. Hurt me.
Is this
Ow.
chaos or not?
Okay,
Hi.
I'm back.
Hi.
I hope you all weren't talking about anything too nefarious while I was gone. Okay.
We were plotting your usurpal.
You're gonna have to plot a little harder, longer than that if you really want to. Okay. Sayer and Lumira, you see this figure of this young girl see you and then turn and start to run.
No, wait! And it's too late. And Sayer turns back to Lumira and goes, she might be going for help. That's good. That's good. You're going to be okay. And Sayer just focuses on how you're twitching from a pain he can't seem to pinpoint. Because he knows you, Lumira. And he holds your hand. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. It's gonna have to come off, and I can't do it myself. You're gonna have to do it. I'm sorry.
I know. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on
Do
to
not
me.
hesitate. One
I will.
clean pull. One clean pull.
All right. On
All the way
three.
through. Mm-hmm.
1, 2. And he pulls.
Lumira, your scream resonates across these rolling hills, and in the near distance, a flock of birds takes off from a distant tree line. And that is also when the scream reaches you, Dom. As you and Piera, having been told of a very strange tale, come hurrying down this path toward Sorna and Isha's grave, toward the paddock, toward where Doxa had been playing mere moments before. And Lumira and Sayir, as you get this leg off of the marker and the bleeding starts anew, you see two new figures cresting over the hill, approaching you. One of these figures is a woman, shorter than the other. You see light pink skin, freckles just like the girl, ruby red hair tucked behind her ears, slightly flying haywire, pure black eyes, white irises, black void-like pupils. And Piera shouts so she can be heard over this distance, even as she and Dom are starting to cover it. Hey, what's going on over there? Who are you guys?
Help! We need help!
Help? How'd you get here? What the hell? And Dom, next to you, you see Piera's face squinting and scrunching up in deep suspicion and guardedness. Though her eyes do fixate on the bleeding leg, you see caution most of all.
That's okay. Not like they're gonna do anything with you here, right?
And as Piera snaps her gaze back up to look at you, what do we see of this version of Dom in the past?
10 years, 2 lifetimes, and a family ago. Dom is wearing much the same, very similar to Doxa almost, is a sort of a rough cotton shirt, kind of in a roughly vague beige in both ways. He's also wearing a parry that's tucked over and left wide over his chest. There's some, looks like knit gloves that he's wearing. It's not the kind of work you would do if you were wearing them out on the farm or on, say, a raptor pen, but they are the kind that you would do if you're just trying to keep your hands warm while you're doing, say, cooking. He has markings on his face, sort of purple lines that run around the edges of his eyes, curve back up and frame his gaze. And as he steps up to see this, he goes, "What kind of help? You don't look very good there."
It's fine. It's fine. I just...
No, it's
And-
not fine.
She starts pulling her shirt that's tucked into her pants and starts ripping it from around, almost kind of turning it into a crop top, like rips it all the way around and starts to tie the other, tie around her ankle, like underneath where she was impaled at. So she has like a tourniquet that's centered, has the impalement, it's centered between the two of it.
Sayer's realizing in very, very quick moments that he has to be the one that's speaking because Lumira is biting through pain and trying to handle this all by herself. Like she didn't have her calf driven through a wooden stake on the ground. Before Sayer turns and fully takes in Dom. This familiar face, yet so different. She had her leg, her calf impaled into the wooden stake. It was an accident. We need help, please.
It was...
Hold on, Dom. I don't know about this. Could be a trap.
I mean, it could be, but look, I don't want to think about the headache that we're gonna come back to when Zyna finds out someone's been bleeding all over his ma's grave. So
Shit.
can we deal with that probably first?
fine. And honestly, look at them. They're probably helpless. Just, okay, fine. And Piera,
Yeah.
getting over her waffling, rushes forward alongside you, Dom, and her grimace widens as she takes in fuller detail just how bad the wound is. Lets out a low whistle. Wow, that really ran through you. Did you really fall from the sky?
Something like that.
Of sorts.
All right, Dom, help her here. I'll get her under here, and you,
Yep.
big guy,
Yeah.
you just, don't get in the way.
Yes, ma'am.
You can get a door,
And-
and Dom like scoops underneath.
Good luck telling him that.
Rude.
And all together, the group of you are able to support Lumira and hobble your way up this path. And Lumira and Sayir, you notice on the periphery, staying a little far away, is that girl from earlier. She had followed Dom and Piera out here, but seems to be very wary, shy, and unsure of the two of you two strangers, as she follows the group as well back up the path toward that cottage, toward that porch. And as you hobble over the hill, dribbling crimson blood the whole way, we sweep across this meadow, pan over those distant trees, and find Haruna City. Before the Haruna died, a town had flourished on its neon banks. Now, this wasn't the biggest city in Keseki, not by any means, nor was it the shiniest city in Keseki. But it was home. Home for the farmers that grew crops on the good soil of the lowlands. Home for the ranchers who raised raptors and hoppers and puppy bees. Home for the fisherfolk who tended the crystal waters of the lake. In the day, it shone like a mirror, and at night, it bloomed. The busiest place in Haruna City was always the market. The stalls, the buskers, the smell of roasting vegetables and meats, wooden wheels churning over dirt, hooves clopping against stone, raptors chittering at their hitching posts. And now, Zain and Ash, you're here again. In Haruna City, in Haruna Market, in now a body that has never died, that does not yet know the taste of profanity that your soul, your ghost, arrives in. Your mortal body. Now, as you arrive, as you appear, as you possess, your body standing in front of a particular market stall managed by a rugged, scowling woman, mid-conversation with someone else. You see dark green hair, gleaming black eyes, a vaguely familiar face. You know her, you know this woman, but her name, everything else about her, it eludes you in this moment. She is one of many scoundrels you did business with in your former life, and you're pretty sure she shorted your family their fair share of something. But you cannot, for the life, or rather the undeath of you, remember anything else. But that's okay. Because as your ghost fills up the inside of your past self's body, as the journey corrects itself and you are shoved into what was, you are hit with the vicious and unrelenting power of mortality. You are alive. Alive! You haven't been. Not really. In 10 long years. It's so loud! Not just the world around you, but the world inside you. The organs, the heartbeat, the blood rushing through arteries and veins. The itching, the aching, the gurgling, the flesh, the bones. Life. What was your body doing in the exact moment that your profane soul possessed it and how did you arrive?
Zainan's hands were moving in a ritual? No. In something that feels like a ritual. inherited from his Ema, standing there counting cold metal bullets. He was on 7. But 8 didn't happen. Instead, it exploded in a sound and a cacophony. Why is it so loud here? Is it always like that? Is that what she was feeling? And it is dizzying. 1,000 thoughts crashing through his mind all at once. And the sound of bullets, a handful of them, falling on the ground, tinkling like sounds of rain. Also, maybe like a piano had been dropped from orbit. So loud, but also it feels heavy. Bodies are heavy. Doesn't feel familiar, and yet, of course, it's familiar. It's his body. It's his fingers with less calluses, less scars. He has all of his fingernails still. In fact, he can hear slightly differently in his right ear because the full point is still there. There are no scars that crisscross and lop off the top of his ear. In fact, everything feels so wet. Feels wet. Being alive is very wet. And in that, it feels like there is an ocean rushing through his ears, but it's not drums, there isn't a marching band, it is a heartbeat. Like someone turned the volume up too loud from what he experienced in Inferno, where it was beautiful. It felt like a symphony, like a flower blooming inside of him. Here, it's overgrown, it is too loud, and it's startling. Zynon has been alive this whole time, but he hasn't been. And that distance that he shared with Lumira, his heartbeat miles away but right inside of his chest, is suddenly rupturing in his ears. Like he outgrew it in the time that he was gone. Like trying to crawl back inside clothing, or even a hermit crab crawling back into a shell that it outgrew. It feels so confining. And loud, because he also did drop a fistful of large bullets in the middle of literally everything, and his mind races between Lumira, the time travel, his body, this place, and... Wait a minute, where do I know her from?
Zynon, as you come to your senses, as you come back into your body, noticing this woman in front of you, as soon as those bullets slip between your hands and clatter with a loud and distracting cacophony, not just onto the ground, some of them bounce onto the counter and roll behind the counter and then drop next to the boots of this woman. This woman looks away from the person she was talking to and fixes that gaze on you, looking irritated and confused. And you realize who the person this woman was talking to is, because this person is right next to you. Azalis Raid. They are leaning on the counter of this market stall, purple-blue hair falling against their shoulders in a rich cascade. Azel had been speaking. Azel had been in the middle of a sentence. Azel had been saying, "Manifest the missing portion of our contribution," and their voice was smooth, whole, uneaten by dust and grief. But now, as your bullets go everywhere, interrupting this discussion, their bright golden irises, both of them, highlighted by golden eyeliner, also flick over to you, first in surprise, and then a deep scathing annoyance, and then bewilderment as they see something in your face. Something that shocks them, stuns them speechless for half a second. And the other woman whose name you half remember, who you don't really recognize, snorts and says, "Well, you want to chime in there, Ash?"
And Zynon is waiting for this sharp sting like the strike of a scorpion. Or maybe it's a shot to the chest. Azalis Raid. And they are right there in all of their absolute devastatingly good distance. They look so good, like the memories and dreams become real. They're scowling, so maybe not every dream, but they feel so far away, and he can't quite put his finger on that either, and he doesn't feel the sharp sting, he just feels the stare of, oops, I dropped a bunch of bullets in the middle of a conversation, and he's trying to catch up. Why are we here? Sorry, lost my grip for a minute. You go back to what you're doing. I'm just gonna... And he starts to pick them up, but his hands also don't quite feel right yet. They feel too much. Again, why are bodies so sensitive? And he scoops bullets and feels the grain of the wood, the cold of the metal. He drops more.
Zynon, as you physically start to bend over and pick up bullets and reach over the counter and scoop these pieces of ammunition up, you can sense Ozzel's gaze turning from that bewilderment back to that deep, scathing irritation. Not just irritation, it's starting to boil over into anger, actual anger. A sense that you're, yet again, fucking something up. But for the life of you, for the undeath of you, you cannot remember what the thing is that you are fucking up in this moment right now. But whatever it is, it must be serious, because as this other woman's snort and scoff starts to turn into a kind of derisive laugh, Ozzel quickly fixes their gaze back onto this woman and says, "Forgive my partner, Zest. He's been a little twitchy about all the skinning off the top and everything, of course. That isn't the only ammunition he's brought to this discussion. And despite his nerves, I assure you, he is still as sharp of a shot as he has always been. But maybe he won't have to prove that if we can reach some sort of agreement here." And instantly redirecting the conversation back to whatever it was they were talking about. And this woman stops laughing, starts to look guarded, nervous, uncertain. She leans back on her heels just as you straighten up, collecting the last of your bullets, Zynon. And this woman says, "Well, listen, Raid, much as I want to help you and your folks out, times are tight. Business is tough. Not a lot of buyers anymore for the things you're selling, these specialty goods. If you really want to make a dent in your debts and your schooling and your food and whatever, you want to get into the water business. You know, that's where all the money's at. That's where all the cred's flowing nowadays. But if you're not gonna be getting any water, any food, I'm sorry, but these are the best rates I can give you. I don't think you're gonna find another fence that can even match what I'm offering. Not even close." Things are starting to fall into place for you, Zynon. You're starting to remember something about this, starting to associate this woman's face with a deep, burning dislike. A dislike born from the desperation of mounting scarcity. But Ozzel, if they are feeling anything similar at all, they don't let it show whatsoever. They lean forward a little bit more, shifting their weight onto their other elbow, and they say, "Zest, there is always a market for what we are uniquely equipped to procure. You just need to know how to negotiate with and find the right buyers in the first place. Unless, of course, this means your contacts aren't really worth our time anymore. If that's the real reason why you've been taking from our cut, then I suppose we can always direct our business elsewhere." And at that, Zest, this woman, quickly leans forward, dropping the facade of not caring, and goes, "Well, hold on, Ray. That's not what I was trying to say. I was just trying to say I can move water, I can move food faster than whatever scarabs and artifacts you and your crew are able to rustle up, but that doesn't mean I can't. I can't move those things." Listen, Zest, I have sympathy for the hard times we're all feeling. I understand why you feel the need to increase the cut that you're taking as our middlewoman. Now, there's nothing wrong about looking out for yourself, but another reason we came here was, well, we may or may not have caught wind of a big score. Something that could really tip the scales. And I'm not sure if we should keep our business here or maybe take it to Zero or Nadia. Well, hold on, Nadia's a fucking con woman. Okay, Nadia, you've been talking to Nadia? No, listen, shit. Okay, fine. And Zest reaches under the counter into a kind of hidden compartment of her stall and pulls out that which you had been looking for, that which you had been after this whole time. A large sack of rice. And she says, all right, didn't short you anything, okay? Didn't use it, didn't sell it. I was just keeping it here for safekeeping. Just take whatever big score you were gonna take to Nadia. Don't do that, okay? Come on, we go way back. Here. And places this sack of rice onto the counter. Ozzel smiles. Doesn't take it. There's a pause as nothing happens here, and then Ozzel quickly cuts their eyes over to you.
And Zynon finally catches up. He has some soupy memory of being here, of this conversation, because shit. It worked, which is great. We traveled in time, which he's slowly catching up to. We needed this rice. Harvest season just ended, and we have stuff we gotta do. And Zynon finally steps forward, and there is a sudden urgency as he reaches out, and his very beloved farmer gloves reach out and wrap tightly over this sack, this embodiment of what they need next to survive. And he pulls it off the counter.
Pleasure doing business with you, Zest. Hey, listen, you as well. And whenever you get wind of that big score, Ozzel's already turning around, not even throwing Zest a proper goodbye after that, jerking their head briefly to you, and turning toward a nearby hitching post where you see a raptor you haven't seen in a lifetime. Natsu, your favorite. And next to Natsu, Azuki, Ozzel's favorite.
Zynon moves with Ozzel out of there like a river flowing in the same direction. The feet remember, his eyes follow and watch. And their hair is so beautiful, like night sky. And yet somehow it feels not right in this moment. He wishes for the end of that venom that doesn't come yet. It might come later, but it doesn't feel sharp because he just wants to talk to Ozzel. They're right here. But that conversation can't happen here because we traveled in time. Okay. And he brings the sack of rice towards Natsu, and that urgency begins to burn at him. And he begins to put the sack into a pouch that hangs off of Natsu's side, familiar, his muscles moving before his mind catches up, and his fingers touch silky feathers. A healthy amount of oil, the smell of dust, but not dust like the kind that decays the skin. Dust like the kind that Natsu used to roll in and come in all dirty, and you can pat their side and it would plume off of them. Feels so familiar. Feels like home.
And then you hear a
You just get
voice
lost.
jolting you out of this remembrance, very close to you. What the hell's wrong with you? And it's Ozzel by your side, peering up into your face. Irritated, annoyed, confused. What the hell's wrong with your eyes?
My eyes? What do
They're
you
different
mean?
colors.
And Zion's hand goes to his face, where, to his memory, it's been, full of molten creation, literally hot to the touch. And his cheek feels warm, but not burning, not divinely constantly churning this molten gold, but just warm, like skin. And he remembers before he began to wear the green of Keseki in his grief. He can feel the markings slightly different, just a subtle texture, but he can't feel what would be different. Why are his eyes different here? And well, that's a problem for future Zynon. Sorry, I don't know why my eye is different, but we gotta get back to the Lodestar.
What the hell are you talking about? We have to meet Nadia at the parlor.
No, that can wait. We gotta get back to the Lodestar. I've gotta, and he begins to just check the rest of Natsu's tack, and is trying to focus because he sent and he saw Nova land at Lodestar. They're there without him, and he can just feel it pulling him like a very tight rope. He can't be out here. He's got to get home. We can't make plans here. Come on, we gotta go.
We're not going anywhere. And Azel intercedes their body between you and Natsu's tack, and you see that simmering anger now start to bubble up to the surface, their brows knitting together, their golden irises darkening almost to an orange hue in their irritation at you. And they say, "You were the one that wanted to talk to Zest in the first place. I got Nadia to reschedule our conversation. We're wearing her patience thin as is. What's going on with you?"
Shit. And he finally stops and looks at them. And yes, even though before he had two verdant green eyes, a slitted golden eye peers out where the cracks of creation is splintered into his soul. A ghost's eyes looking out from a living man. Sorry. Something's come up. I forgot something important back at the farm. Please.
Azel looks at you, really looks. And you see a crossroads open up before their eyes that they are considering. On the one hand, standing firm, refusing to move, to get out of your way, to push harder against this new, strange behavior. And then a part of them, as you mentioned something back at the steading, back at the Lodestar, and they choose to relent, to go along with whatever this strange plea, this odd behavior, this new gaze seems to be hinting at. They back down, and they slowly move their body out of the way of Natsu's tack. Fine. But you're helping me clean up this mess with Nadia.
And Zynon begins to try and think about consequences. Wondering if it even matters if that consequence will ever come. But right now, he can't answer that question because the person who might know, he accidentally abandoned in a field. So, he steps his leg up, swings the other over, steadies himself with the familiar feeling of Natsu breathing under his legs. Gives one gentle pet. Let's go.
Dom, as you assist a bleeding, limping woman called Lumira and the very worried man called Sayir at her side up the wooden steps of your front porch and into the safety of your home. What do these strangers notice first about the interior of the Lodestar Steading?
It's cramped. Like, this is clearly a place with four people whose mess spills out of their rooms and into living spaces, both physical and the energy of it. There's things strewn haphazardly on chairs. There's stuff sort of flung at the general direction of something that would be a hanger on a wall. Mist fell to the ground. It'll get picked up eventually. There is the smell of frying oil and what looks like a pile of greens and what is that? Maybe hard to tell what kind of meat, hard to tell what you can afford nowadays, but it's there. And I think more importantly, as they limp in, all spread out along this huge sort of central kitchen table. It's big for the room, but that's what it needs to be when you need to fit 4, 5, 6, 7 people all at once. Is a smattering of papers and maps and... Is that a calculator? Maybe. Space calculator? I don't know what a space calculator looks like, but let's pretend we do. And it's a strange mix. It's ledgers, shipping manifests. Looks like names and numbers, maybe contact information, all of which have been crossed out in 4 different colors with various notes written down either side. Oh, it's a babysitting list. But neither one could ever be agreed on by all 4 at the same time. And Dom steps in, pushes all of that off the side, kind of as it hits the floor, and goes, "You're gonna want to be flat for this, I think."
Yeah. Elevation. Right. It's clean all the way through, not hitting any major arteries.
Oh, all
Just
right.
hurts like hell.
Well, you already know more than what I'm talking about, so I'm gonna need
That's
your help
kind of
on
what I
this one.
do. Yeah.
All right.
Dom, you
Get
see
up on your own?
Doxa rushing forward. She helps you clear the table in the way that you have shown her before how to clear the table when messes and chaos unfolds in the house, which is not infrequent. She starts to stack all of the things in neat piles in the correct categories that they're at, and she starts to pick them up and move them to a smaller table / to an armchair and set them down very seriously. When she's done with the first pile and you're helping Lumira onto the table as she's still dribbling blood everywhere, Doxa turns to you for more instruction and says, like, quite sincerely and with a good amount of gravitas, she says, "What else should I move, Dad?"
Well, you can get me the metal bowl from the top shelf over the kitchen. Oh, and then Dom takes another quick look. Oh, we're gonna ruin Pierre's needles. I'm gonna need those too.
Okay, I'll get some cloth too. And she quickly hurries off into the kitchen area and can hear clattering instantly and a dragging of a chair so she can reach the cabinet in question.
Yep.
In the meantime, Lumira, as you're being hoisted up onto this table, Sayir, Pyrrha is in your face now. You see
Good
those
luck.
pinpoints of void burning daggers up at you. You are like twice her height and twice her width, but it sure doesn't feel that way. And she is instantly saying before the door even swings shut behind you, "So who the hell really are you?"
My name is Sayer, ma'am. That one's
Sayir,
Lumira.
Sayir,
Yes.
Lumira. Okay, you're keeping that part of the story straight. Okay, so what are you doing here?
We're here to see Zynon, ma'am.
Zynon Ash?
Yes, ma'am.
You know Zynon. How do you know Zynon Ash?
We're friends and co-workers, ma'am.
You're friends? Ah! Okay. Bullshit. How do you really know Zynon Ash?
We're friends and co-workers, ma'am. We've done jobs in the past.
You've done jobs with Zynon Ash. I haven't heard of Zynon Ash doing any jobs with a Sayir and a Lumira, if those really are your real names. Okay, so
They
what
are
do you
my
want
name.
with us here? Assuming that you're actually here and you actually know Zynon Ash, so what are you here for?
At Zynon's request, ma'am. He told us to be here.
Well, that's certainly news to me. And Piera raises her voice and looks at you, Dom.
Yeah. Then I was gonna say that. I don't know if that makes sense, but there was that one time I went off and did the other job with those like 3 people that he didn't tell us about. Remember that one? Is that? Yeah. Was it? It was the mahjong parlor. Was that you?
With the you're from the mahjong parlor?
I do not know what that is, man.
Okay, not that one.
Okay, so no, not that. And Piera and you like share that look of trying to place who these people could be, because everything that Zain and Esh knows, presumably you also know. Piera turns her gaze back to you, Sayer, and says, Zain and Esh, that farm boy, has never set foot outside of this prefecture, nay, this valley, nay, a 10-mile radius from Lodestar Steading, and you mean to tell me, you know.
7 miles.
You're right, 7. Thank you for the correction, Dom. 7-mile radius. But you're here for business.
He's a complicated man, ma'am.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, that is true. That is true. Maybe they do know Zain and Esh. Yeah, okay. Well, hold on. You two. And Piera looks you up and down, Sayer, taking in what you're wearing, and then looks at Dom. Up and down, taking in what he's wearing, kind of comparing, looking back and forth, ping-ponging, as though noticing for the first time. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, hold on. You with the militia?
Hey, good clock.
What?
I was about to ask that.
Yeah.
I'm not a part of any militia, ma'am.
You're not from Raosu?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Lumira's head
well, that's-
thuds back on the table.
Oh.
Yep, there's
okay.
I would like to point out in my goddamn defense.
Fucking lie!
I would like to point out that since Zain and Esh decided to call me the fuck out for not knowing shit, he had all that time from then and now to coach me on anything about Kaseki and told me fuck all. So we're doing this now.
Look, here comes the
Lumira.
consequence.
As your head thuds back onto the table, that is around the same time that Doxa returns with all the materials you need, Dom. She sets them very clearly and efficiently next to you so you can have a kind of medical workstation. You see a bowl with warm water, some washcloths, and a medical kit that has most of the things you'll need to probably take care of 80% of this, or at the very least stabilize this bleeding woman on your table.
Good job.
Thanks. Do you need anything else?
You want to go outside, Wildcard?
Yeah. She don't look too good.
No, that's fair. Why don't you go out on the porch, keep an eye out for your paw, huh?
Okay. And Doxa gives Lumira's bleeding, gaping wound like one last look. She doesn't look scared, just concerned. And then heads for the door. As she does, Piera ruffles the top of her head and says, "All right, Tiny, take care. Guard the door for us, okay? Make sure this hooligan doesn't get out." And turns her gaze back onto Sayer as Lumira. You feel like a pulse of pain from that wound in your leg, a kind of dull physical ache within the injured and torn muscle. And at the same time, you feel a dull, deep ache somewhere else as well. Somewhere that is not your body, or rather, not just your body. Deep, deep, deep within your soul. That stretching sensation. That isn't just the bone-deep exhaustion of having vaulted 10, 12, 14 years into the past and across an entire continent, but something else as well. A strain. Your soul still feels like it's being pulled, like it's a rubber band being stretched, tugged in multiple opposing directions. There is pressure pulling at you from everywhere, and the pulling apart sensation is starting starting to increase, gradually, bit by bit.
Lumira kind of repeatedly thumps her head on the table in time. The pulse in her leg mimics her heartbeat itself, but that other one stretches her gut. She can't really articulate it. She just, what she always does, bites through it, tries to distract herself, but she is not able to hide her grimace.
Dom, you see this injured woman underneath you. Even as you're starting to patch up the wound in her leg, you see that grimace grow more and more. You see sweat starting to bead on her brow.
I don't think that's your leg talking, because we're just cleaning it out now. You got something else going on?
No, I'm fine. Make sure
That's
those
not-
needles are sanitized first, please.
Oh, I got you. But that's not the sound someone who's fine makes.
It's painful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And Dom takes a needle and like holds it out over, I think, like a lamp, and is like, this is the best we got right now, but
That's fine.
all right.
That's fine. Close, neat stitching, please. And Lumira reaches her hand out backwards towards Sayer.
Sayer, like, immediately, like, has this whole time in answering Pyrrha, has constantly darted his eyes over to Lumira, and the second you reach out for him, the next second he's right by your side. And he, like, holds your hand close to his chest. You can hear and feel his heart racing. And he feels the sweat on your palms, and he can not pinpoint it, but he knows, Sayer knows how tough you are. You've shrugged off so many injuries as an agent of trance. This is a gnarly injury, sure, but to make you shudder like this. And Sayer looks, he's looking and looking for where this pain is coming from. He just holds you. He says nothing but holds you, and his finger traces over the knob of the radio and clicks it, clicks it, clicks it, clicks it, clicks it, clicks it.
You've never felt her grip like this. You didn't even know she had strength like what you feel in your palm right now.
I'm here. You'll be okay.
Sayer, as the radio dial clicks like on and off, and you toggle with the volume as well to switch the click, the knob, it's a nervous habit at this point that you've gotten used to doing, to fiddling, but in the future, in the present, whatever the time and place that Yinghe is currently in, the place that you have abandoned, the place and time you have left behind, at least after you've repaired the radio, you were able to turn it on, and when it turned on, it would of course just emanate static. But now, as you switch the dial on, off, it makes no noise at all, as though the battery is dead. Or rather, as though the battery hasn't arrived yet.
And Sayer bites the inside of his lip and just looks at Lumira instead, but continues to click against that radio. Because what else is a fawn searching for its father meant to do?
Zain and Esh. You are riding a raptor you haven't seen in 10 long years, and you are trotting up a path that has existed only in your mind for just as long. You can sense Ozzel looking at you sideways from atop Adzuki, but that is the furthest thing from your mind right now because you are seeing it now. The raptor pens at first, and then the tree, the grave markers underneath it, one for Isha, one for Sorna. Sorna's looks fresh, and there's something on it you don't remember. A color, rust, copper? You fly by on your steed, intent on getting home, and you see the texture of the dirt around you, the bend in the road. You recognize all of it in perfect detail, the exact placement of the pebbles, just how high the grass would be in late summer as you crest over that small hill, and there it is. The steading. The roof. The walls. The porch. The yard. Just as you remember. As though you never left it in the first place. It's been waiting for you. This whole time. No longer a ghost inside your memory, but a real physical building with real stones and straw and dirt and wood. And standing in front of the porch, kicking a small rock back and forth, looking rather forlorn and uncertain, is your daughter, Doxa Esh.
Zynon's whole world flies by him on the back of this raptor. And he could live in that feeling he has since the day this day went away. He brought us here because this is the home that he has always dreamt of. And it is so beautiful. But it is like it does not exist at all. When he sees her, he comes flying up on Natsu. He doesn't even remember jumping off. He barely chokes out. So, as he runs to her, he can feel for once the privilege that his fingers are so sensitive that when he pulls her tightly into a hug, he can feel the texture of her haori. The slight texture in her hair. He can smell that she's been running. She smells a little. And he dives deep into an ocean just to feel this feeling forever. He would dive into it deeper and deeper as he pulls her close.
Pa? And she was surprised at first as you dove off of Natsu and immediately into the hug. And you feel her feeling your tears soak into her hair. There's a pause, and then she wraps her arms around you, small but firm. Most importantly, real. Is everything okay?
She feels so heavy. Because he remembers that feeling gifted to him in a dream by Artemis of holding her as a baby just weeks ago. She was so small then, so fragile, and here she's so big. Oh. Zaza. Hi. And he pulls away just enough to see her face, to pet her cheek. He can kind of see that he's freaking her out as he is crying, but his eyes just search her face. Those mismatched eyes that don't belong in this farm boy with a bright orange streak down his face to mark him as a flock tender. He looks like every other day to her and to him. To him, he has dreamt of holding her face, and he does. He does, and she's not in pain. She's not sad. She's not lost at the end of the world. She is here in his arms, and she is perfect.
Doxa blinks wide up at you, And then her gaze focuses on one of your eyes. Her hand reaches up and cups the side of your face, the side that the Forge Master had struck. And she says out loud, wondering, just spills out of her, "Pa, your eye. It's like the sun got in it."
Yeah. Just like yours.
"Really?" And she looks down like she can see her eyes if she looks down. And then looks back up at you. "They change color too?"
No. No, Sprout. And he gives her a squeeze. You can feel this Hori that she's about to outgrow. You can smell home. No, I don't know what happened. Look at you. When did you get so big?
Just saw me earlier today. Did I already grow taller?
You'll be taller than these trees.
I hope not. I think that would scare the raptors.
Yeah. Xanon can feel this is the place, this porch, this setting, the time that there's just the two of them. We're locked in this tiny world. And it feels so open and big and boundless. Here and now in this moment. And in his heart, he wants to scoop her up and run away. Take her with him anywhere. Because the world is bigger than he remembers it. And he knows that now. But right now, his whole world is right here in his arms.
And your whole world says up to you. Something weird happened earlier, Pa. These people fell out of the sky, I guess. They really spooked the raptors. One of them's bleeding real bad. She's in there.
Fall out of the sky. Oh no. Xanon doesn't let go. He does shift, though, to look around, remembering that he is in a world where things happen.
You see that Ozzel has brought the raptors over to a hitching post in your absence, in your sudden expulsion of movement toward Doxa, and now they're coming back toward you, approaching, and there's a look on their face as they observe this interaction between you and your daughter. A soft look, a careful look, a look of realization starting to glide into place, as though they're reaching their own conclusion about your odd behavior. And Ozzel says, directed at Doxa, "Strangers that fell out of the sky, huh?" And those eyes fall on you, your tear-stained face. A pause, and then Ozzel says, "Well, your Pa and I best get inside and see what's going on."
Yeah. And he hesitates. Because he can't not. But his feet have to move because he has more than one daughter now. And it sounds like she just fell out of the sky.
Xanon, you and Ozzel ascend the steps of the porch, and you enter into the Lodestar steading. And inside, it's chaos. Dom is here, but it is not the Dom from the Izakaya, with that terrible look in his eyes. It's the Dom you remember. A steady rock, through the sternest of storms, and this storm is stern because Dom is bleeding. Well, no, the blood isn't actually his, it's just on him. The blood is Lumira's. You see Lumira, a wound in her leg, sweating from pain, and it seems to be getting worse. And then there's Piera. Red hair, freckled skin, arms currently crossed, an expression on her face you haven't seen in 10 years. She's got a bone in her mouth, and she is not letting go. Piera, the first one who left. Piera, swallowed by the dust. Piera, whose absence broke new ground on a grave you have not stopped digging in over 10 years. She's standing next to Sayir, still grilling him like he's a piece of meat. And Sayir is fiddling with that radio, like he always does. Dom and Lumira, Piera and Sayir, a weird, bizarre, beautiful, tremendous sight. Worlds colliding, past and future, meeting in a way you never knew was possible until you found out what she could do. Zain and Esh, how do you arrive in the Lodestar setting?
Zainin walks through the front door that would one day cave to dust and wind. Takes off his old hat, the one that he had until the world ended. Hangs it on the same hook he's hung it on every day since he started wearing it, right inside the door. And we see Zainin Esh without the scars across his face, without the grief that he wears and the one that just lives in his skin and bones. He walks through the door wearing humble clothes of a farmer, worn and a little dirty, but a white shirt. There's a memory there somewhere of trying to embrace Dom's business-minded attire for this meeting. And he remembers shades of earlier today, or maybe it was last week or last year, or some tangle of these things echoing out from a ghost that did walk this. And he feels at home. A ghost haunting his own body, haunting his own house. And he sees, finally, another echo that he can't quite address what the thing is here that is pained inside of his heart. Because Piera, in all of her fiery beauty, is right before him. And he hasn't let himself think about how there won't be a third reunion. Except right here. And those tears just keep spilling. Because it is so nice to be home with all of his family.
Piera, as soon as you and Azul arrive, wheels around on her foot, giving Sayir much needed relief and release from her very intense burning attention. But now that very intense burning attention is 100% like a searchlight fixed onto you, Zainin, and she storms right up into your face immediately.
Oh.
Like as soon as you see her, she doesn't even realize that you're crying until she's like 2 questions in. The first question is, "What the hell's going on, Zainin?" The second question is, "Who the fuck are these guys? They say they know you." And the third question is, What the fuck happened to your face? And she pauses, taking in this amalgamation of expressions that are currently fighting and wrestling across your face. The smiling of it all, the warmth of it all, the tears, the grief bubbling up and over at a meeting, a reunion that means the entire world to you. But for Piera, of course, why else would it be anything other than just another day in her life? She shakes her head, returns to the grilling. "So what the hell's going on, Zai?"
At about the third question, he stops staring at how absolutely beautiful she is just to see. And he's smiling And unfortunately, I wish I could say that he wouldn't have been smiling then either, but that's just not true, because even when she's mad, she's so beautiful. And he just grins from ear to ear, even though there are tears, even though he knows he's being strange, because this is her. Oh, whoa, Lightning. Hey, this is Seer, and this is Lumira.
Well, I will be goddamned. You do know them.
Same names too.
I wasn't lying.
Yeah. Wow. Where do I? And Zynon looks to Seer and looks to Lumira, takes in for a moment Seer's expression. Pained and startled as it is. And then Lumira's pained. And he can't look away because this is the most perfect thing he's wanted for so long. Even if this is not what he asked for, it's exactly what he asked for. And here you are, bleeding on his kitchen table in so much pain. He cannot just lose himself in this, even though his heart is being pulled backwards as always. Because here you are, both of you, pulling him forward, and in that moment he realizes, wait, where's Yinghe?
Is there someone else too?
Oh, don't tell me there's a third. You're making connects without letting us know now? Simon, come on, that's not...
Oh. Easy.
Not here.
At Lumira's ramping noises of pain, Ozalise breezes past Zynon, traces a brief finger on Piera's shoulder to let her know that they've arrived. And they stop by Dom's side, and they place a hand on your shoulder, looking up at you with an urgency, but also a calmness in their gaze. That is classic Ozalise raid. And you hear them say to you, low and steady, "Something's going on with Zynon. You'll take over for me, I'll take over for you."
As long as you didn't get another concussion, Silvertongue. And Dom steps up and gets out of the stool as Ozalise swaps in.
You hear them mutter under their breath, "I'm not so sure about that." And
We're
they
with him.
they step up to Lumira. And Lumira, as you feel another kind of like, it's not necessarily a jolt of pain through your soul, it is just the gradually increasing pressure, like that rubber band just being stretched more and more and more at a steady pace, and the more it gets stretched, the more the pain increases, and it does not relent. You feel Dom's presence move away from you, and a new presence swap in, and this one, of course, feels familiar. You see Ozalise Raid. Not the version with the shaved head and a missing eye, but this one with hair cascading down to their shoulders, two golden irises looking down, and without even saying anything, as though they can intuitively sense that you need something to really anchor you, you feel them slip their hand into your palm so you can hold it and grip it as hard as you need, just like you're doing with Seir. Whoa, hey there. Oof, that is a nasty bit of work.
Lumira flinches. The second Ozal's hand touches hers, almost as if she's burned. Because this is not the Ozal that they know. The Ozal from where she's from. It's completely different. Won't even look at her. So Lumira does not, like, she doesn't even try to make eye contact with them, kind of lessens herself, trying to grunt and brace herself through these waves of pain. She's not 100% comfortable with Ozzel right there. It's nothing necessarily on them. It's different than what she was privy to before.
Yes, because this Ozzel does not immediately avert their gaze from you as though you were a wound in their heart. This Ozzel doesn't turn and walk away as soon as they realize that you're in the room, because you are something they cannot bear to look at, because it reminds them of a grief they cannot stand to hold any heavier than it already sits inside of their heart. This Ozzel looks at you directly in the eyes, and there is calmness in their gaze. There is compassion in their gaze. There is intelligence in their gaze as they peer down at you, and they are saying, "You're very brave, keeping it all together. Lumira, right?" You're gonna be okay. I've seen much worse done to other people's legs. I think you're going to make a fine recovery under Dom's administrations, of course. And you know, I've been stuck to plenty of times. Nastiest one was right here between the ribs when some job went sideways. And as they speak, you just know they're talking to keep you distracted, to keep you moored and anchored, so you have something to think about other than the pain that is radiating. Not the leg. The leg's pain is far behind you. It is the pain that is growing and growing in your chest that Ozzel is unintentionally distracting you from, guarding you against. And they are saying, "You can thank Mrs. Hotshot over there for that, actually. Shooting from the hip, because some meathead said some unkind things about me after I cleaned him out fair and square. I had it handled, but that's how she is. That's how all of them are. Protective. Still,
They probably
you think
deserved
they
it.
would know." I don't disagree with that. Like I said, it was a meathead. But he was a meathead who worked in a goddamn gunpowder factory, and one would think first before shooting in a goddamn gunpowder factory. And they raise their voice to address the rest of the room as Pyrrha shouts back, briefly interrupting her grilling of Zidon to say, "Oh, come on, it was one time!" And
It
it's
was
like
more
the
than
girl
one
said,
That sounds
deserved
like
it.
something.
Also, don't pick fights in a gunpowder factory, is Dom's voice from another room.
"Oh, come on, farm boy. Why'd you have to rat us out like that? And stop fucking smiling at me. I'm gonna put a bullet in your ass."
Sounds.
I'm
That
gonna
sounds
have
just-
to take it out. Don't.
You can take out as many bullets out from farm boy's ass as I'm gonna put in his ass. And anyway,
Okay, but I need that.
We know.
Okay.
did you really get concussed? I mean, your eyes are two
No.
different colors. Does that sock you in the face?
All right. Listen. Ignore this. Any emotions unhelpfully to the wrong eye. Let's start over. Seir and Lumira and I have done a bit of work together. Seir, Lumira, this is Pyrrha. And he looks very pointedly at both of you like, hey, behave. And Dom is in the other room, and this is Azalis. He does clearly apologize in his eyes that you do know who the other two are.
Hello. Sayer says, absent-mindedly, not fully present because he does know 2 out of the 3, and he just met the 3 over our talk. And Sayer instead is holding on to Lumira's hand, lips just a breath apart from her fingers, holding it close to him, and he's scanning her, trying to find this pain that she continues writhing from, that Azalisa's voice is barely an anchor to. It sits in her.
And Lumira, Ozzel is in the middle of saying, well, it's a pleasure to meet you both, when you can feel that ever-increasing pressure starting to reach a point where you can't just repress it and grit your teeth through it. It's really starting to ramp up here, bit by bit, moment by moment, second by second. And you can feel that it's not just located in that intangible place that is your soul, which is both somewhere deep within you and also all over your body, as though it were an invisible force field or energy source covering every inch of you. It's also very specifically located on your sternum. You feel it now, the place where your birthmark is, stretching and starting to splinter.
Lumira grits as best as she can before it gets too much and she howls, her back bowing off the table, her whole body drawn tight, intense, and she's literally like, her back is completely curved off against the table and she's writhing.
Lumira, it's been like this all day. And Sayer looks pointedly at Zynon.
And he can feel the sand move in an hourglass. We have a limited time here, I guess. Isn't that always how it is? Never enough time. And as that regret rolls around in his head, he remembers why we are here. Because he can see the shape of the tears behind Azalis that are not here in the conversation he wants to have with them. He can smell that ever-present delicious smell of food from Dom's cooking, but also inside of that he wants to see the man who smells just like he's been drinking straight out of 3 bottles all day. Because that man's not here either. And he wants him to know this one again. Maybe still finding that shuttle will help. Maybe. And that frail hope that still sits in Zynon Ash. Alright. I know we've got some plans, because he does know the season, their cycles, their habits as a family. Planting is done. Some of the birds that have been sold to market have gone off. It's about time to start. And he looks around at the familiar touchstones of planning. And in this case, also babysitter fighting. He'd rather plan for a heist, honestly. Less dangerous. But time to scoop up the best team he knows. And hopefully get them headed towards somewhere very far away, where we might stop a shuttle from being disassembled and maybe save. And as he thinks about saving, he can still feel Dox's face in his hand, the tears on his face, and there is Pyrrha right in front of him. And it's only so selfish to think that maybe this will also save them. Because his heart needs to feel that way. Because what is home if not the people we love? I have a plan. It's gonna sound kinda out there. But I need your help. And he looks to everybody in the room.
Pyrrha and Ozzel wear similar expressions when you, Zynon Esh, say, I have a plan of The four of you, the least likely person to utter those four words would be you. Zine and Esh have a plan? Zine and Esh step forward with something of his own design? Pyrrha and Azo exchange a bizarre look, and Pyrrha looks back at you and says, "What the hell are you talking about now, Zai?"
Dalm, as he comes out from the other room, wears an expression without even looking, without even knowing that is the exact same as the other three, and just is wiping off his hands where he washed them from earlier and goes, "I'm sorry, did I hear that right? Found Boy's got a plan?"
You have two fleshy hands. And again,
That is not the weirdest thing you've ever said, but it's pretty close.
yeah, well,
He's been
sorry.
weird all day.
Oh shit.
Listen. I know this is gonna seem like it's coming out of nowhere, but I need your help to steal Buta Erebor's ship.
You want
Dom,
to
would it
what?
be accurate to say that there's like a beat first from the
Yeah.
rest of the three of us? Like there's
Yeah.
like a silence.
Erupts at
Azo
the
and
same
Pyrrha?
time. You want to what?
All three of us. Yes, Azo and Pyrrha also say, "You wanna what? You wanna what?"
I said, it's important. I need you to trust me on this one. And this time, the we that he is saying is not his family, but his new family. He is talking about Nova. We need that ship. We all need that ship. All right, from the beginning then. So, here's the thing.
Lumira, from the instant that Zine and Esh had mentioned Buta Erebor's ship, it's like whatever force has been pulling your soul in ontologically opposed directions increases both the force and the speed at which it pulls. Your birthmark underneath the tattered remains of your clothes, the parts you did not strip away to form your own tourniquet, your birthmark is splitting open. It is pulling apart. You can feel it. It's not just in your soul anymore. It is physical on your body, ripping your skin like joss paper. Cracks widening, tearing at bone and sinew, and deeper than bone and sinew, your soul is starting to break from the strain of holding on to past and future simultaneously. Yes, those are the opposed poles. You've always known it. You can feel it now undeniably. And you are the tether, Lumira. You are the chronological link between past and future. And as long as you refuse to let either one go, you can prevent the catastrophe that you know will happen if either side slips from your grip, from your grasp. But now, as Zynon speaks about things that have not yet happened, about a plan that he should not have access to the knowledge to know, because it would alter the path, the trajectory of things that have already happened, that will already have happened to such an extent that the future will slip beyond that grasp, no matter how hard you pull on. And you have a gut-deep feeling that you will split open with it. And there's something else. Beneath the pain, above the pain, inside the pain, traveling as though it were an empty void on one side of your body, the tip of one finger dripping in to your artery and slowly making its way up your arm toward your heart, toward the past, is her pushing through, coming closer through you.
You've never heard the noise that comes out of Lumira's mouth before. It is a scream that comes from deep in her gut, her body contorting in all different ways and fashions. She's clutching and ripping at her chest, trying to stave whatever is breaking within her. It's gasps and grunts and screams and pain. Lumira has a high pain tolerance. We know this. She's able to brace herself through a plethora of different injuries. This is unbridled, uncapped, pouring out of her like a faucet that she is unable to stop.
Piera goes, whoa! And Azo goes, hey, brave girl, you're okay. But you see their eyebrows knit together in deep concern because this is not normal. It is undeniable now that this is not just about the leg. Zainin Sayir, what is the instant reaction you have to this?
Zainin jumps towards Lumira. Lumira!
Sayer also jumps, hand clasp over your cheek. He is inches away from you. He whimpers in concern, a nickname that he holds for you deep in his soul. Mira, please tell me, where does it hurt? Please, Mira, where does it hurt?
I can't. She's screaming and grunting. Any vague words that are even answers coming out of her mouth are bit behind clenched teeth, forced out with just breathless amounts of air, as if she can't even keep air in her lungs long enough to reply or breathe or do anything. She's gripping at anything she can get her hands on. Herself, you, the table. The pain in her leg is like a paper cut in comparison to her soul shattering.
Zainin...
Mira.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
one of the unfortunate side effects of being alive is that your blood can tell a lot about what is going on in your body, and Zainin turns a deeper shade of purple as he begins to sweat. And fear takes his body, because he has never seen Lumira like this. And even though he does not fully comprehend that thing, that barb that caught in the journey as we ended up here, is tethered to whatever this feeling is that is ripping inside of you, and he cannot shake it.
Yes, Zainin Esh, there is fear flushing through your body more viscerally than you have remembered in a long time. There is something else, too. A gut feeling, named after an actual physical sensation that living bodies experience. A gut feeling, you get it now. Sinking. A spiritual vertigo. Clawing at the profane soul inside your mortal flesh, as though this living body were trying to reject it, or tell it something that it is unequipped to hear. It's starting to dawn on you, too, what is happening to Lumira, what this it is that she's referring to in between gasps and pained groans and shrieks. Inhuman shrieks of pure suffering. As for you, Lumira, seeing is no longer an operative verb for you. Everything around you is a blur. You can vaguely sense the presence of the people now hovering over your form. You see Ozzel's concerned face swimming in and out of view, long draping hair, and then a short buzz cut. A pair of golden irises, and then a single muted orange eye, the other clawed shut, eaten away by dust. You see Zainin Esh, A smooth face, unscarred, those mismatched eyes you recognize, but the jaw is softer, less grizzled, and then you see the scars appearing suddenly. And the Zainan Esh, the agent of the Syndicate, you recognize, and you see Sayir. Those antlers, cybernetic, glowing, pulsing now in fear for you, and then you see those regular bone antlers from the Syndicate, and you see a younger version of Sayir. Face not quite chiseled and hardened by age, still flush with youth and naivete. You are in a room full of people crowding all over you. You are in a desiccated field of howling dust. You are on a kitchen table bleeding everywhere, and you are in the midst of a roaring dust storm. You are in Artemis's office. You are in the darkness under eaves, and you can smell the Krezerin burning. You are at the top of Tiandu Feng, bathed in mist. You are in the dusty... You are in the bloodied catacombs of Inferno. Past and future, future and past, bleeding together here now in a present that never should have been, melting and churning. You see Ozzel, Zhiling, Professor Ifueko, Sayir, Zainan, Dom, Piera, Amaru, Sing. And Sing is saying to you, Lumira? Lumira, are you okay? Hey, stay with me. Dom, something's wrong. And Ozzel is looking up, talking to someone else, and then it happens. Sayir, you, also fiddling with the knob, had left it to be silent on, and now static erupts to life, cutting through the silence. All of a sudden, Doom's here. And you hear his voice, and he is telling you, go back. There is nothing for you here. And Lumira, you break. This entire time, it's like your soul was a rubber band, yes? Pulling and stretched and pulled and stretched in opposing directions, and finally, that rubber band reaches its limit. You reach maximum capacity. It snaps. And if you thought the pain was indescribable before, this is a whole new level. It transcends anything you have ever felt up until this point. You didn't know it could get worse, but it gets so much worse. Worse than any physical injury, worse than any mental exhaustion you have ever suffered. So tell me, Lumira, what hurts more? This moment right now, or the day that you left Tungal?
Damn, what a question. Lumira was so little when she left Tungal. Honestly, she doesn't really of course she doesn't remember much, but she woke up in the Syndicate, so that's an example, or not even an example, that's letting you know right now that her little body wasn't able to handle it now as a grown woman. This is otherworldly. This is, by a long shot, the most painful, back-breaking, soul-shattering, soul-ripping, shredding. It's like every limb on her body is being pushed at a rapid speed into the deepest, darkest section of the ocean all at once, and every pressure per inch is on every one of her limbs from head to toe. And she splits.
Lumira, She's here. The saccharine light of early evening, pouring through the steadings windows, goes in a single flash dim, like a light switch flipping. The warmth of late summer gone. There is now an absence of heat, but it is not colder now. It is not more of anything. Everything is just less. The static crackles. The radio whispers in fear, and only the three of you hear once more. Go back. There is nothing for you here.
And Sarah
It
makes
is
a terrible
Doxa.
realization. A terrible, terrible realization. That the N in nothing is a proper noun. And his father is not a domain.
It is Doxa who notices it first. This whole time, she'd been lingering at the door, watching the chaos unfold. And now, sensing something behind her, Doxa Esh glances over her shoulder and glimpses something through the crack in the front door of the only home she's ever known. And what Doxa Esh sees, she does not comprehend. And she says, "Pa? What's that?"
And Zynon comes running, but in his mind, drumming over and over again the same thing that beat through him like a heartbeat when he did not actually have one. Oblivion. 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 And he runs to the door. He puts himself between Doxa and an ending as he steps outside to look.
Kiera follows you, stumbling, eyes wide, brow furrowed at the sudden dimness of everything, following you out onto the porch to look at what has transpired. Dom, do you go with?
Dom sees Pyrrha go, a firefly out in the dark, and he, in another time, another place, may have gone. But this Dom hasn't learned that lesson yet, so he does what he does best. Keeps an eye on Lemira and stays behind.
The door swings wide open. And no matter if you're on the porch, if you're fully outside, or if you are inside and looking out, you see it. How could you not? It's large. There in the sky, something is happening. Something has already happened. Reality inverting, a door opening that cannot be shut again. A hole in the sky burning up like prayer paper. Bigger than you've ever seen it. The size of a fusion detonation. The size of a precept's eye. Spanning the horizon from east to west, north to south, up to down, past to present to future. Oblivion. And we're gonna end the special there. Thank you all so much for tuning into this Arc 4 special, What Was? Let's do some much-deserved introductions, starting with our amazing guest star for the evening, John.
Okay. Hello. Hi, I am John. I'm also Ryamasa, and I've had the pleasure once again to be Dom today. Who's just a guy on a farm, on a ranch. And what do you mean? What is that? I don't know what that is in the future. I still don't know what that is. Anyways, you can find me, I guess you could find me here in this VOD. But the other place you can find me currently is over on Bad House RPG, where we are currently playing Veils of Chicago, which is a Vampire the Masquerade game set in Chicago, where I play Speak a Sunday, who is definitely not a cult leader. I think that's all I've got. So
All right, let's hop on over to Val.
Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Dorian. I use he him his pronouns. You can find me all across the internet at Valiant Dorian or also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt I just set you on. And tonight, I had a distinct pleasure of playing Thayer, son of a precept, who uses he they pronouns. And with that, you can find me on Monday, I guess, over on Dungeon Scrawlers, where I play a bisexual disaster. And if any one of you find yourselves in Singapore next weekend, I will be in Singapore over at Little Island FurCon, selling Spirit Bear RPG wares as well as running a special Beast Within one shot. Hey, Pop, how you doing over there?
Oh, hi everyone. I'm here having a great time, but wow. Well, that's up there. We'll figure that out later. Hi everyone, I'm Kai. You can find me everywhere as Estella Vimladris. And wow, thanks everybody for coming home with me. That's all I got for now. Sam?
Hello, everyone. I am Sam Star, using she, they, and the occasional they pronouns. You can find me, more specifically, everywhere where the butterflies do fly blue at Lust for Life X. I had the pleasure of playing Lumira, who uses she, her pronouns, and is currently split.
Sorry.
Yeah, Lumira Ashinyobi Oshupafiron, who suffers more than God.
Quite literally.
Lumira, who suffered more than God this episode, yeah.
Quite literally.
Oh my god. So, friends, we are very excited to be nearing the end of Arc 4, of course. But this Pride Month, that's right, it's June, it's a Pride Month. We have a lot to share with you all. We're going to be offline next week, so that's going to be next weekend. But make sure to tune in on Saturday, June 20th, that is the week after, at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time for our next special episode of the Chaos Protocol, Arc 4 Special 5, What Will? While you're waiting for Chaos to return, we invite you to check out La Beja's Ball, a Pride Month streamathon hosted by our friends over at Batty Bards. We are very delighted to be one of several amazing sponsors for their programming that is running every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this month. So make sure to check them out and support them. Additionally, speaking of support, you can support our show by joining our Patreon, joining and participating in our Discord server, making fan works if you are so inspired, posting about Tresplater on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Tumblr, rating our podcast, buying merch from our merch store, like this amazing cup, and most importantly, telling someone else about the channel. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your homos erotics enemy, tell that big void in the sky who is maybe your papa. No, not the voice. The voice in your radio that is maybe your papa. That big void in the sky that will swallow your papa, perhaps. Your barista, your dog, your cat, your raptor with the big old talons. Or speaking of raptor-like creatures, your parakeet. Thank you all so much, Transplay Nerds. We are going to see you in 2 Saturdays. That's going to be Saturday, June 20th at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube Live for our next special episode. What will? We're going to be raiding someone really awesome right now, so please use the raid message in chat and send the love over to the next channel that we're going to be raiding. And in the meantime, Shbijo Bijo. See you in 2 weeks.